Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. Well. All those months ago when we were celebrating that the ESL, the European Super League, was dead, I think it's safe to say, not just me, but there were quite a few others that were talking about it here on YouTube with their respective channels and all of that, all saying, look, it's dead for now. It will be back. It will be back. And guess what? It's back. So, look, it is the reality of the world right now, and I'll explain that in a sec. Before we do, a couple of things. Firstly, make sure you catch me on Twitter and Instagram. Links are in the description. Much appreciated. And secondly, preview for West Ham versus Chelsea will be coming out tomorrow, day before the game, 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday lunchtime, the dreaded time slot for the big teams. I know we're not a big team this season, we're 10th. No, we're 9th. We're 9th. We went up a place. But, you know, I can't believe I'm saying that. But preview for that will be dropping tomorrow, so make sure you are here to hear what I have to say, especially with players coming back from injury. Anyway, we'll see you then for that. Today, it's about the news. The news that the European Super League is back with a bang. And it's back with a bang. And you know what? Look, this is the reality of it, right? Today, I'm going to be brutally honest, straight, direct with all of you, as I feel like I already am. But you're going to hear it just in terms of the way that I see it, right? No corners, you know, what's the saying? no stones unturned, no corners cut, right? I'm going to be straight and direct. It's obvious. It's obvious. And now I look back, it could have even been a strategy from the very beginning for it to kick off like it did at the very start in relation to the Super League. What do I mean by that? The moment the ESL was announced, boom, protests everywhere. I think deep down, maybe this is what they wanted. You're probably thinking, what? How? Let me explain. The ESL, the European Super League, A22 Sports Management, the promoters in charge of the European Super League, who, if I'm not mistaken, were not in charge of it at the very beginning. But in terms of the concept of a European Super League, I think the reaction that it got at the start means that anything that comes afterwards is going to be less than the very beginning, and they'll probably be accepted. And at the end of the day, whether it's now or whether it's later, their ultimate goal is for it to be accepted. Now, they tried to feed everyone everything at the start, and it didn't work, right? So now they're coming in increments. Here you go. Have a little taste of this. We'll give it a month. All right? How about a taste of this now? And they do it in increments to the point where you don't realize where you're being driven into. You don't realize where you're being dragged into. You don't realize what you're being pulled into. All of a sudden, you realize it's too late. It's too late. It's launched. It's here. Oh, crap, I didn't realize. That's what they want. That's what they want. And I feel like that's the strategy that they're taking now. And they're doing it in a very nice and very professional way. And I have to say some of the points they've mentioned have reasoning. Right? But it's obvious. It's obvious. And I'll get to the point that I want to make towards the end as to what I think the ultimate goal here is. Because I hear more support for the European Super League now than there was before. It's normal. Of course there was going to be more support because now it's being fed in increments. And some things have, as I've said, good reasoning behind it. And they make sense. Right? But all part of the strategy. These guys don't think about today or tomorrow. These guys are thinking about how it's going to be when the whole thing is launched, and they've managed to get everyone on board. That's the strategy. But I'll get to what the ultimate goal is towards the end. Let me show you what has actually happened today, and then we can discuss and analyse everything. Ben Jacobs fills us in with this. A22 Sports Management, promoters of the European Super League, ESL, have released a 10-point manifesto outlining their core principles following stakeholder dialogue with around 50 clubs. You see how they move in silence now? They move in silence. They weren't doing that at the beginning. At the beginning, it was, we want to do a Super League. We want to take over the Champions League. We want to get rid of that and we want to come in. What were you guys saying? And it was chaos. It was chaos. No one was going to accept that. But now they're coming in with, with dialogue behind the scenes. They're coming in with a manifesto. They're coming in with more points, with more professional manner, with a presentation. Like we have taken all of your consideration on board, and we have taken all of your points, and we are now advancing with this in a more mature way, having taken everything that you've said into consideration, and we are implementing it just as you've said, right? That is how they're making it and how they're painting it to be. Ben Jacobs does go on to more detail with what has actually gone on with this. They again stress any new ESL format will be based on merit with no permanent members and 60 to 80 teams involved in a multi-divisional competition with a guaranteed minimum of 14 games. It will remain connected to domestic leagues, although Europe's top leagues are against this. He goes on to say European club football is at a tipping point, says A22 CEO Bernd Reichardt. Huge imbalances have emerged across the continent and clubs with glorious European traditions can no longer compete. Clubs have accumulated billions of losses, many caused by uncontrolled spending. And then it goes into a massive thread. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think there's about maybe 20-25 tweets here as the entire thread, right? Go on Ben Jacobs' Twitter page. You can read it for yourself, right? But it's mad how now it's evolved into, okay, we're not going to take over, you know, all of the leagues, all of the domestic leagues. We're not going to wipe everyone out and force everyone into this competition, and this is all you're going to compete in now. Now they're painting it as it's going to be a multi-divisional competition. There's no permanent members. You're not forced to stay, right? It's going to be based on merit. Everything that people were complaining about before that was saying, oh, they weren't doing, now all of a sudden they're doing, right? And this is the point. At face value, it sounds great, right? At face value, it sounds wonderful. And they even mentioned that it's not going to interfere with your domestic competition. It's not. If you believe that, right, I've got a beachfront apartment penthouse that I want to sell to you here in London, right? A beachfront massive penthouse that I want to sell to you that's based here in London, right? Send me your bids. Even though it's flipping impossible because London doesn't have a beach, right? That's the point. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Who knows? For even the first couple of seasons, the first few seasons, maybe they stick to their word, right? Who's to say they're not going to turn? And it's pretty obvious that they will end up turning, especially after they accumulate all of the teams that matter. And this is where I feel it's going to be going. Now, I want to show you what La Liga President Javier Tebas has to say about this, because this was funny, and I agree, but at the same time he's kind of shot himself in the foot, right? So let's get into what he has said here. He's put, La Liga president Javier Tebas has responded with a Red Riding Hood cartoon. The Super League is the wolf, who today disguises himself as the granny to try and fool European football, but his nose and teeth are very big. La Liga add, the Super League is the wolf of Little Red Riding Hood. Now they are disguised as open and meritocratic, but underneath there is still the same egotistical and elitist project. Don't tell us stories. Now, I have to say this off the bat. He's right, but I hate when these big bodies like this try to make the point of being egotistical and elitist when they are. Like, come on, let's not cut around any bushes here. Anyone that's at the top, right, in some sort of big organization, massive body like La Liga that runs Spanish football, you are elitist. Come on. Come on. The Premier League are... It's normal. Embrace it. Absolutely embrace it. Just be honest. I'm not asking you to be anti-elitist. There are going to be people at the top and there's going to be people at the bottom. That's the way the world works, right? But if you're at the top, just please be honest. That's it. Just be honest, right? No matter how much you got or what you're doing or what, just be honest. The problem is there's probably people there that are just not honest and they try to cut corners and paint a picture for you when it's not entirely true. But La Liga have decided to go one step further with what they've said, and they've done this, which personally I think is a dumb move. But check this out. Breaking, La Liga president Javier Tebas has decided to exclude Real Madrid and Barcelona from La Liga meetings in which TV rights deals are decided and has stripped their right to vote. More, the reason for the exclusion is Real Madrid and Barcelona's push and planning for a European Super League. So firstly, to put into context, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus are the three clubs that have signed up, have always stayed signed up. They've gone with it. They want to push it. They are promoting this European Super League. They are completely behind it. La Liga have decided to exclude them from any sort of discussion on the table in relation to TV rights, in relation to anything that they're discussing on that table with La Liga meetings. They're excluded. Well, you've just shot yourself in the foot here, Javier. I'm very sorry. I mean, come on. They want a reason to be pushed out. You've just given it to them. Well done. Who in the blue hell is going to watch La Liga now? La Liga need Real Madrid and Barcelona, let's be honest. Come on. Can you imagine La Liga with just Atletico Madrid winning it every season, having to compete with Real Sociedad and Sevilla and Villarreal? Like, no, come on. Real Madrid and Barca are absolutely needed. You should try and play it smart and force them to stay. Force them to stay because they are looking for a reason to exclude themselves, and you've just given it to them. Now they can probably take you to court or do whatever and say, we've been excluded because we have within our rights to push for a competition that we want to compete in. Tough, right? And I don't know, but La Liga, it's not like the Premier League. It's not like the Premier League. The Premier League can't even afford to lose one or two teams, and the Premier League could still be the Premier League. If Man City decided to ride off tomorrow with Liverpool, well, it's all right. Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham. Oh, Tottenham. You get the gist. We'll ride it. If all six left, that's where there'd probably be a problem. Even then, the Premier League is at a standard where some eyes would still be on there to see what maybe Newcastle are doing. If Newcastle decided to ride along with everyone else, then yeah, maybe there's an issue. But La Liga shooting themselves in the foot. Now, my thoughts, my opinion, right, on this European Super League, because the last time I was completely against it, right? We have to be realistic, but I also want to be true. We have to be realistic in the fact that the world evolves, right? You know, we have to go with the times. It is what it is. Some people don't like change. It is what it is. But with this format now, unlike before, as I've said, it was a case where the European Super League wanted to take over domestic football. Many people's problems in this country, I can only speak for people in this country, well, I'm not speak for all of them, but from what I saw, many people were against it because they were thinking it was going to threaten the English football pyramid completely. That teams would be taken out of the English system, put into a European Super League. Everyone would watch this Super League and English football will be abandoned. The entire pyramid will be destroyed. That is something that is true. You cannot allow that to happen. Hence why the protests were so strong. But now they're coming at an angle where, oh no, domestic competition will still be intact. We're just going to take over European football and that's it. Where there's going to be a replacement for the Champions League, for the Europa League, for all of that. Any UEFA competition we will be replacing. But then they come out with things like we are going to make sure that clubs have a minimum of 14 games to participate in. Mate, do you understand the Champions League right now, just the Champions League, from the start until finish, if you make the final, has 13 matches in it. And it's tough for those teams that compete at the highest level already, having to play their domestic league, their domestic cups, and the Champions League, and go all the way to the final and maintain that and not get injuries is pretty much impossible. You're asking for a minimum of 14 matches to play in the Super League, in whatever tier you are in within the Super League, is insanity. Having to play that alongside your domestic league, your domestic cups, all of that, which leads me to believe that even they know what they're doing here. They're going to tell you, yeah, we're not going to interfere with your domestic competition. Once the entire thing is actually launched, and now you can't get rid of it because it's launched and teams are participating in it, like many will probably want to participate in it, that's when they'll go, oh no, you know what? You're going to have to choose between us or your domestic league now, lads. Sorry, but clearly you guys are struggling. You're all getting injured. But look at where the money is. Look at what you're getting here. Look at how we're treating you. You're going to have to abandon your domestic competition, which leads me to a point. It goes back to the original protest at the very start that people were fearing was that it was going to replace your domestic leagues. This is the ultimate goal. You have to be cautious about the entire world at this point, not just football, but globalization in every single industry is happening around us in front of your eyes. Look at what they want to bring in for 2030. Football is going to be a part of that with this. This is going to replace your domestic league. If you think it won't, you're being naive, and I can understand if you just want to go with the flow, then cool. But I'm telling you now, and do not be surprised, if this is launched and it gets to a point, maybe 3-4 years down the line, maybe in 2026, 2027, 2028, they turn around after a couple of seasons and they go, hey, guys, you can't manage this. We can't manage this. You're going to have to leave your domestic leagues in order to keep in this competition. They would have already had enough time to prove to everyone how it can be a success and how much money it brings and how much TV it brings and how many eyes it brings for them to make a case that you have to stay. If not, you can go back to your domestic league, but you're not going to be doing what you're doing here. And that's the ultimate goal. They want to destroy domestic football. That's the ultimate goal. They want to take over UEFA. Don't get it twisted. That's the first goal. The first goal is to wipe UEFA out and become the new European body, 100%. But after that, that's when they want to, whether they're going to stay with 60 or 80 teams, expand it even more, have various divisions, but that is going to be the only football. You can say goodbye to the Championship, League 1, League 2, etc. Goodbye. That's where I fear it will go, and that's where I'm pretty convinced it will eventually get to. Even if it's not the case for the first few seasons of this new Super League, that's where I think the ultimate goal is, and they're going to feed it to you in increments. This is why the mistake they did last time was tell you everything straight away, and people were like, hell no. And now it's going to be a case of, no, don't worry, it's all good. This is how it's going to be. You believe him? If you believe him, good luck. Just don't come to me when you've been deceived. When you've been betrayed, don't knock on my door. I'm just saying that you've been warned now. You've been warned. That's my 2 cents into this story and where I think it's all going to lead to. This isn't to say that UEFA are angels, that all the leagues are angels. And some people are going to say, oh, but you're a Premier League fan, so obviously you want to keep it the way it is because the Premier League's the best league in the world. Well, thank you very much. I feel like the Premier League done that based on merit. The Premier League managed to have good strategy, good marketing, and good ability to bring loads of eyes from across the world to watch our game. I feel like that is just based on the way that it is. Everyone decided to watch the Premier League more than the other leagues. The other leagues are still there. What makes it different? It's the work that the Premier League have done. It is what it is. But this European Super League is going to dictate one body to control football as a whole. And the way that we know football right now, the way that it is, the pyramids that are in place in every single country from the grassroots up are going to be wiped out. Wiped out. Now, the thing is, some people might say, those clubs that are lower, let's say in this country, Championship, League 1, League 2, Conference, the rest of the pyramid, they'll still be there, right? And those players will have a chance to get to teams that compete in the Super League. But let me tell you this, who in the blue hell is going to watch them? Who's going to watch them? All the eyes are going to be on this new 4-5 tier European Super League with various divisions in it. No one's going to be watching Barnsley versus Scunthorpe United. No one. Even now, you might get that on Sky Sports. You might, right? BT, you might. After this, no chance. No chance. Dead. This is part of globalization. This is part of trying to get everything to become global. And all I ask you to do is look into 2030, look at the way that the world is moving at the moment, look at the way that football is moving, look at the way that these guys are trying to put things in place, and you can put 2 and 2 together to understand what the ultimate goal is. Even though what they're telling you now is not exactly that, it will lead to that, and that's where I think it's going to happen. So let me know your thoughts down below in terms of what I've said today, in terms of your opinions. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts on this Super League. Are you for or against it? Do you agree with what I've said? Do you disagree? And yeah, we'll see where it goes. But let me tell you this as well, just to end. Don't expect protests like we saw the first time. Don't expect it, because people nowadays are very, very easily motivated to do something at the start, and then once they do it, they don't go back because they ain't got the capacity to push themselves to stay and sustain with something. They don't have it. They go with the trend. They bounce along with whatever is is the most common thing for that day, for that week, and then it's forgotten about. And now with this being given to people in increments, don't expect any protest anytime soon. I'd be shocked if protests all of a sudden started. As I've said, it leads me to believe that the way it all went down at the very start is probably exactly what the ESL wanted. That's my theory. But anyway, let me know down below your thoughts. Much appreciated. And I will see all of you tomorrow for the preview for West Ham versus Chelsea. We probably won't be getting West Ham versus Chelsea in the Super League. So embrace it and take it all in. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good one. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Smash like button if you've enjoyed this. See you tomorrow. Have a good one, people, in a bit. Take care and peace.